So did you watch the tell-all? I watched the tell-all, and I thought it was good. I thought it was a little Kody heavy, but I thought it was good. There's a lot to talk about. The most important thing I want to talk about is this idea of reactive abuse, which I will get to at the end here. But first, more sort of lighter content here. First, and I'm stealing this from a commenter who said, can you imagine being, whatever Kody is, 52 years old, and your biggest pearl of wisdom, your biggest realization in your life is, if you're going to marry someone, you should love them. And that's how Kody started this off, and I do think that he believes it's really a strong revelation. Hey, if you're going to engage in a relationship for eternity, you should love that person. And Kody, didn't love Christine, Janelle, and Meri. I think it is a total BS response from Kody. I think Kody is humiliated that he now has 3 wives that are not that interested in him. And in an effort to defend himself, he's essentially saying, yeah, well, I'm not into you either. I think it is just an effort on Kody's part to protect himself and to insult and hurt these women. And what's interesting about it is that Janelle and Meri are almost okay with it. They're comfortable being in a relationship with Kody where he is drooling over Robyn and constantly talking about how much he loves her, as long as he treats them well, invests in the relationship, spends time with them, and interacts in an appropriate way with their kids. But that is a bridge too far for Kody, and it's just not going to happen. So the relationships are dissolving not because Kody's not in love with Meri and Janelle. The relationships are dissolving because Kody can't put any effort into the connection with those wives. Now, I was surprised by Kody's description of his relationship with Janelle and the reason why he doesn't talk about his children. See, Kody is a very ethical man, and he does not like gossip. And if he talks to Janelle about the horrific relationship he has with Gabe or Garrison, then that's triangulation. And Kody wouldn't want to do that. It's unethical. He would be gossiping. So what he does is he just doesn't talk about it with his wife and the mother of those children. He also, I don't think, likes much interpersonal conflict, so he also avoids the conversation with Gabe and Garrison. So when Kody writes his next parenting book, it will just say, avoid everything and curl your hair. And then after that book, he can write a book about how to get 6-pack abs and nice pecs. I don't have anything really to say about about the discussion of that beyond Janelle thinking it was hilarious and it being very clear to everybody that Kody is totally delusional about what his body looks like. Okay, let's talk about reactive abuse. So in this tell-all, they rehash the argument between Janelle and Kody. In past videos, I have talked about how Janelle's behavior in that specific fight was verbally abusive. She told him to go fuck himself, I think twice. It was a terrible interaction. And people in my comments have said, have you ever heard of reactive abuse? I have heard of reactive abuse, and I don't think that that's what it is. But let me say it this way. Let me explain to you what reactive abuse is and why it's important, and you can judge for yourself whether or not you think this fits that description. So reactive abuse, I think, is a terrible name. I think most mental health professionals don't love the name reactive abuse because it suggests that it's abuse that's on par with the original abuse. Like you're reacting to abuse in an abusive way, and so you're both abusive. Reactive abuse is really self-defense. When true reactive abuse occurs, you have an abuser that is mistreating somebody to the extent that the victim loses control in an effort to defend themselves. And it's very damaging in an abusive relationship because oftentimes the abuser then uses that reactive behavior as a marker of the victim being the problem, right? So if for example, if I am hitting I'm cussing at my wife, I'm hitting my wife, and then she turns around and hits me back, and then I go, whoa, look how crazy you are, right? I am using my behavior to trigger her negative reaction and then blaming her for it. That's how reactive abuse happens, and it's super damaging. The reality is, in the interaction I just described, the reality is the victim, my wife there, would be just defending herself. And after she does that, she will feel confused by her behavior. She will feel out of control. She will feel self-doubt and shame. She will be embarrassed by it, right? There's all these negative emotions that accompany it because the reactive abuse or the self-defense is just that. It's this response to, I have to protect myself, so I'm going to lash back out. To me, that's very different than what happened in the interaction with Kody and Janelle. I think that Janelle reacted because Kody's an asshole. But I think she did it. I think she knew what she was doing. I think she felt in control. I don't think she felt shame or self-doubt about it. And I think she'd probably do it again if given the chance. And I think anybody that saw the interaction would do it again because he was driving her so nuts. But driving somebody nuts is not equivalent to pushing them to have to defend themselves in that way. But if your interpretation of that fight was such that you saw Janelle out of control and needing to defend herself, then it would fit the definition of reactive abuse. So I hope that makes sense. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And thanks for listening. See you next week.